Real quickly, it's been a while, but I haven't reviewed Northwestern. I'll do that really quickly and then move on. Offensive player of the game was Trace. Defense was Christian and Grant Haley. Combination there. Special teams, it was Blake Gillikin, who's really playing well for us right now. Some things that I think overall have been kind of storylines for the year, especially statistically for us right now. We're #1 in scoring defense nationally, #2 in the turnover margin nationally, which is, I think we all know the importance of that. #3 in drive start average nationally, #8 in penalties per game nationally, and #13 in big plays on offense nationally. So some pretty good numbers there that I think really kind of illustrate maybe in detail and specifics some of the things that's going on this season. Getting into Michigan, obviously great school, great tradition, great history. Very talented, obviously, head coach and staff and players, and it's going to be a real challenge for us. There's no doubt about it. Offensively, they're what I would describe as a traditional Big Ten offense, where they're going to try to run the ball down your throat and play action pass. Are very talented, are very skilled. Obviously, Mason Cole feels like he's been playing there forever, and I think he's going to end up being a high draft choice offensive lineman for them. Expect a lot of gap schemes, power, counter, things like that. But they're a traditional Big Ten offense. It's going to be a challenge, and I think we all know Coach Harbaugh runs the offense for them. And then defensively, Don Brown was the defense coordinator at Maryland. I was the offensive coordinator. I know Don very well. I think one of the better defensive coordinators in the country. You look at his production and success, his time at Boston College and now at Michigan. Very talented. I think Maurice Hurst, their defensive tackle from Massachusetts. I think on film looks like a first rounder, and everything I've read is he as well. I would describe Don as a greedy defensive coordinator is probably the best way to describe him. And what I mean by that is most defensive coordinators are going to try to take something away, but when they take something away, they're giving you something. For example, most defensive coordinators are going to give you the wide field throws. They're going to say a college quarterback can't consistently make the wide field throw, even versus off coverage. Don doesn't believe in that. Don's going to overload the box. They're going to have, not only they're going to overload the box, but a lot of guys are going to be on the line of scrimmage in blitz positions and blitz demeanor. The defensive backs are going to be pressed pretty much across the board. They're going to try to take your run game away, and they're going to take all the easy throws away. It's going to be press coverage. It's going to be man coverage. Our guys are going to have to create space with their routes, and they're going to have to make contested catches. That's how he plays. And then the other thing that they do a great job of, they don't typically have to cover very long because he's coming after you. High percentage of pressure, 62% pressure overall, 66 on normal down, 63 on third down. They're a huge pressure team, so that's part of it as well. And obviously they have the talent to back it up. A lot of people would describe it as a high risk, high reward defense, but when you've been the #1 defense in the country as many times as he's been, I would say it's high reward. And then special teams, they're doing a really good job on special teams. Obviously, a name Quinn Nordine that we all know is kicking the ball really well for them. I'm happy for him and his family. He's doing a great job. Has made, I think 85% of his field goals, a couple over 50 yards. Is doing a great job there. So, we're excited. Obviously, it's going to be a great environment. I think people realize the only thing I like more than Christmas is a whiteout football game. So I'm jacked up like I am every year because the environment is special. I think Beaver Stadium on a normal game day is a top 5 atmosphere, and I think a whiteout game day is something I think you don't really understand unless you can come experience it for yourself. So I love standing at that tunnel, feeling the energy and electricity in the stadium, and then running out. And then after that, you really don't kind of realize it again until the game's over. But want to thank our fans, want to thank the community. You know, it's going to be special. And then my message for the team this week is, you know, they've earned these things. You know, these things are nice. The rankings are nice. The fact that ESPN and College Game Day is coming is nice. The fact that this is a whiteout is nice. But at the end of the day, none of those things matter. It's about our preparation. And, you know, a lot of times I think, you know, probably the most important job of a head coach, in my opinion, is to eliminate distractions. And if not handled right, that's what these can be. So, you know, we're going to stick to our routine and our SOP and kind of go from there. So, open up the questions.
Start with Rich Scarcella from the Reading Eagle.
Good afternoon, James.
Hi, Rich.
James, how much did the bye week benefit your team, and how much time did you spend on Michigan preparation?
Yeah, I think it was really good. You know, we were able to have our Sunday practice, which was good, which is very similar to what we normally do. Then Monday, we spent all Monday self-scouting. We self-scout every week, but it's probably, you know, for an hour or two. And we were going to spend a whole day on self-scout. Not only the offense looking at themselves and the defense looking at themselves, but we did across the ball. So we had our defense kind of, you know, break down our offense, and our offense break down our defense, and that was really valuable. You know, Tuesday was obviously to you know, get a head start on Michigan from a planning perspective. Tuesday practice for us was a combination of a little bit of a head start. Excuse me, that's not fair. Tuesday was a developmental practice, so predominantly young guy development, a little bit of Michigan, but really it was mostly about going back and covering some issues that we've had throughout the season. So here's how people are trying to attack our protections. Here's how people are trying to attack our defense. Here's some areas on special teams that need to get cleaned up. That's really what Tuesday was about, and then young guy scrimmages. Wednesday was Michigan, our first day to get into Michigan and get a head start on those guys with still a balance of young guy scrimmages. Still kind of resting our players, you know, as much as we possibly could. Thursday, Friday, Saturday was off for the players and recruiting for the coaches. And then Sunday we gained an advantage because we didn't have to go back and make the corrections on the last game. It was all Michigan for a short practice. I think you guys know our practices on Sunday are pretty short. So, I'd say the coaches got a few extra days. The players got, you know, probably 2 days. Got Wednesday as a Michigan practice and Sunday as a Michigan practice.
Bob Flounders, Harrisburg Patriot News.
James, how are you?
Good, Bob. Hard to hear you.
I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Hope you enjoyed Saturday in Harrisburg. I saw you guys to come down.
I can't understand you.
I just said I hope you enjoyed Harrisburg on Saturday.
Yes, sir. It was good.
I wanted to ask you, you mentioned Maurice Hurst, and the fact that he's playing like a first rounder on that D-line at Michigan. Could you kind of maybe expand just on the challenges of both him and Rashawn Gary outside on that D-line, but the challenges they pose to your offensive line and your offensive general?
I think I heard Hurst and Rashawn Gary.
Yeah, the challenges they pose.
Just so you know, just so you know, you keep talking doesn't help because we don't understand what you're saying. But I did get Hurst and Gary. It's for whatever reason, it's just mumbled in here. We're having a hard time hearing you. But yeah, I think Hurst is really fun to watch on tape. He's a really good player. He's explosive. He is quick. His get off is what really jumps out. You know, you watch the ball snapped and he's the first one across the line of scrimmage, triggering or moving. They move their defensive line a lot. He uses his hands well, very productive, very disruptive. You know, I went back and kind of researched him a little bit in terms of, you know, what people are saying about it. Say he's going to be a first-round pick, probably a top 10 pick, and it looks like that on tape. We got a lot of respect for him and his game and how he plays and the motor he has. You know, he's an impressive guy to watch. And then Rashawn Gary, we all know about him, you know, an impressive athlete, you know, a guy who's as big as advertised, say he's 280 pounds, you know, says that he can run in the 4.5s. It looks like that on tape. A lot of times, you know, people talk about guys and it doesn't necessarily look like that. But you watch, he is a really, really good athlete who flies around and plays hard. So, you know, we got a challenge, you know, between the combination of style of defense they play and then the athletes they're playing. You know, a number of guys. You got Lavert Hill, who's playing really well for them at corner. You know, there's a number of guys that, you know, I think are going to be a challenge for us.
Derek LeVar, Spokesbury Times leader.
Hi, James. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. James, those couple of seasons you didn't get to spend working with Don Brown. What stood out the most to you about him, you know, beyond the X's and O's, and maybe what sort of did you learn from him from a coaching perspective?
Relentless, aggressive. You know, a lot of different experiences, which I think are really valuable. You're talking about a guy who's been a defense coordinator for a long time. You're talking about a guy who's been a head coach, and now has gone back to be an assistant. You know, you're talking about a guy that's worked, you know, at 1AA level, at the 1A level, at schools where he had built-in advantages, at schools where he didn't have built-in advantages, which I think when you come from that type of background, you have to be creative, you know, to overcome some circumstances. And you know, Don, I learned a lot, you know, from being around Don. You know, how he ran his side of the ball, how he got his players to play and how to practice. You know, got a lot of respect for, you know, got to know his family. He's got an awesome wife who you know, I hear from time to time, and so does my wife. Just a good person and a really, really good football coach who's been very successful pretty much everywhere he's been. You know, Don's big thing is and it shows up on tape, you know, they're going to solve their problems with aggression. You know, that's something that, you know, I remember years ago Don talking about, and it still shows up on tape. You know, his answer for the game of football is to be aggressive. Be aggressive in the way he calls the game, be aggressive in how their players play. You know, they're a big, you know, wreck the decision maker. You know, try to you know, get to the quarterback as much as they possibly can, and either sack him or make him uncomfortable in the pocket. And don't give any yards away. No free access throws. You know, that's what he believes, and he's done a really good job. A lot of the stuff they do is unorthodox. When you watch it on tape, you know, for short periods of time, and you're trying to kind of make sense of it, you know. But they play aggressive, which I think is the most important thing that they do, and they don't miss too many tackles.
Mark Wenger, Channel Town Morning Call.
Good afternoon, James.
Hey, Mark.
Hello. Pardon me. Talked a lot about Don Brown there, especially calling him a greedy defensive coordinator. How then, by contrast, would you describe Brent Pry as a defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think Brent's done a really good job. You look at Brent, you know, very successful past history being a defensive coordinator. When I hired him, you know, Brent is your typical coaching lifer. You know, not only him and his family, but his father. You know, and I think Brent really understands and sees the big picture of the game, and you know, understands you know, the motivational aspects of his players, understands morale, player morale, staff morale, understands you know, how to take advantage of our strengths and hide some of our weaknesses or deficiencies. I think he's a big picture football coach. He gets it, you know, and I think he connects well with the players. I think the players respect and appreciate and like him, which I think those things are important. I really do. But he's a wealth of football knowledge and experience, and he's a good person. You know, Brent's one of my guys when I'm having difficulty with a decision. You know, that's Dwight Galt, as you guys know, and that's Brent Pry. You know, I'll bring those guys in, and it's evolved into Terry Smith, and really my whole staff. But you know, really probably from the beginning, it's Dwight, it's Brent. Those guys have been just tremendous resources, and I think a lot of it is because I know them. I've known them for a long time, and they know me. So there's just a lot of value. And I think one of the things that's going to be great for the fans in our stadium, and I think for people across the country that are watching the game, you're going to be watching two of the best defensive coordinators in college football, which probably doesn't get any more Big Ten than that, defensive football.
Frank Bonanni, your daily record.
Hi, James. How's it going this afternoon?
Good, Frank. How are you?
Real good, thanks. I wanted to ask you about Sharif Miller. The things that stand out to you most about his growth on the field, off the field since he came to Penn State, and maybe what his next step is in development for him.
Yeah, I think the word that describes him the best that you just used is growth. He has matured in so many ways, in so many areas. He's a lot like Saquon Barkley in a lot of ways in terms of, Sharif got here and really has taken advantage of every resource and every opportunity that there was here. You're talking about, a skinny kid from Philadelphia, shows up here and takes advantage of training table, takes advantage of the weight room, and gets bigger and stronger, and takes advantage of all the academic support and the unbelievable professors that we have on campus, and is doing extremely well in that area. Is very well liked and respected by his teammates and coaches. He's just a guy that has really transitioned really well, and he's a guy. I tell the players all the time, I think a really good barometer for me is would I hire you? And it's my job by the time they leave that I would. And Sharif's one of those guys, I'd hire him right now. I don't think I'm going to be able to because I think he's going to have other opportunities. But Sharif, I'm really proud of Sharif. I really am in so many ways, that I can't even really kind of put it into words. I'm just really proud of the young man he is developing into. And I know sometimes when coaches say this, everybody thinks that I'm talking about football, but it's, he's turned into a good football player and a productive football player. And I think he's got a bright future at Penn State, and I think he's got a bright future after that. But I'm really proud of Sharif as the young man and the student that he is. I really am. He's a tremendous success story for Sharif, for Penn State, for college football. I can't say enough good things about him.
Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How you doing?
Really good.
I just wondered, during the bye week, did you guys take a look at the offensive line to maybe find some other things that they're not doing quite as well as you would like? And I also noticed there was a change in the depth chart at right tackle with Will Fries. Is that because the other two guys are still banged up? Could you elaborate on that, please?
I know you're going to ask about injuries. As you know, I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to answer about injuries. I don't really see it as a change in the depth chart. I mean, for really the last couple weeks, we have been playing both Chaz Wright and Will Fries, and I think it says or. To be honest with you, I didn't even know that Will was ahead of Chaz or Chaz was ahead of Will. They're both going to play. It's not a big deal. I don't mean that to with Chris. I just they're both going to play. It's or. So I wouldn't make it out more than what it is. I think it probably decide based on how the week of practice is gone, and at this point we haven't even had a practice. So we'll have one today. I'll have a better idea late in the week, but no, we're gonna, again, I think Matt Limegrover does a great job with our offensive line, and we got a bunch of, really good players at that position that are continuing to develop, and we're gonna stick to our plan. We're gonna take advantage of individual and fundamentals during practice and techniques, and continue to emphasize them. We're going to get great one-on-one work against our defensive line that helps from a speed perspective. We're going to still call the game in ways that, again, put those guys in the best position to be successful. But we're going to have a challenge this week. I mean, the way they play defensive football, we're going to have some challenges. There's no doubt about it. That's where the mobility at the quarterback position is important. That's where staying patient in the run game is important. That's where, you know, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hand is important. Where, you know, we also have to take some shots down the field. I get that, but you know, that also means holding onto the ball a little bit longer. So, you know, we're just going to stick to our plan and keep developing those guys and keep loving them. Got a lot of confidence in them, and you know, I think we're going to play well on Saturday. We do.
Mike Gross, Lancaster Newspapers.
Good afternoon, James. How are you?
Good, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Mike, do you say Lancaster or do you say Lancaster?
I absolutely do not say Lancaster.
I agree with you. Just curious. I didn't mean to offend you.
I'm glad. Oh, you didn't? No, you didn't.
You were adamant about that, though.
Oh, no, well, because people in Lancaster are adamant about that.
I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah. I know you have a Kutztown history, so you probably had some sense of that.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. But none of that is.
Hey, I'm still amazed by some of the street signs in towns down there. I love it.
Like what?
You're not going to get me in trouble. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Names of towns for sure.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's probably the best way to say it. But it's one of these things that I would say, and we all know what I'm talking about. It's funny, but then someone takes that one sound bite, puts it out nationally, and then it's drama that I don't.
Yeah, I know. So let's not go there.
Thank you.
Kirk Street, and the other day in an interview with Saquon, he said that he finds that Penn State players. He's so impressed with their comportment and their behavior. He mentioned Saquon and Jason Kabinda, but he also mentioned, going way back decades, Blackledge and Kurt Warner and guys like that. I guess I wonder what's your reaction to those comments. I'm sure you're aware of them. And is there any explanation you can see? Because, of course, some of it goes back before your time.
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I think it starts with the young men that we bring to our university. And don't get me wrong, our guys make mistakes. You know, they're young men, no different than any other college student across the country. But I think it starts there. Then it starts with the development. You know, that I think, to be honest with you, a lot of colleges, you know, spend time, you know, trying to develop and work on. You know, the complete student, the whole young man, you know, the whole student athlete that you're trying to develop, that we all take great pride in. But I will also say that, you know, I think a lot of places and a lot of people, you know, maybe give it a little bit of lip service, and at the end of the day, it really comes down to the wins. And I really think it's a part of this community that we take a lot of pride in it, and we reinforce it and talk about it all the time. But I can't tell you how many times I'll be standing in line, you know, at Starbucks or Rothrock or at Dunkin' Donuts on Sunday, and someone will come up to me and they'll say, "Coach, you know, really appreciate the win on Saturday, but more importantly, I appreciate how the guys were in the press conference, or how the guys treated my son, you know, when they saw him this summer, or my daughter, or, you know, all those types of things." So I think, you know, in this crazy game of college football that we've all decided to be a part of, probably now more so than ever, you know, it has become about the wins and the wins only. And I think in some ways Happy Valley and Penn State has had a little bit of a bubble over it, and it's more than that for us. It's more than that for our fans. It's more than that for our students. You know, I'll tell you, 3-4 years ago on my timeline, it didn't necessarily feel like that sometimes, but it's more than that here. It really is. And I think what we also try to do is, when I do get an email from a fan, or when I do get an email for an alumni, or when I do get a message from somebody, a handwritten note, I put that in the PowerPoint presentation. We talk all the time about small acts of kindness go a long ways. Go a long ways. Simple home training. Yes, sir. No, sir. Shaking someone's hand, looking them in the eye, body language, demeanor. Those things are so important. So, you know, I take a lot of pride in it. It's something that kind of was already something that I believed in. You know, had really nothing to do with Penn State. And then I come to Penn State and get offered a job, and my values and the things that I believe in align with the university and the athletic department and the football program, and it just continues. So, but I think probably the biggest thing is when our fans and when the people in the community and when little kids and when other people say to our players and say to our coaches that, Coach, winning matters here and we get it, but what's more important to us is that these young men leave Penn State prepared and ready for life, and that are going to be good people and good fathers and good husbands and good citizens. It's one thing when the head football coach says it. It's another thing when, you know, the fans and the alumni and the lettermen are saying it. It reinforces it. You know, so I think that's probably, you know, where it probably comes from. And I think, you know, Kirk Herbstreit obviously is a graduate of another school in this conference and has been doing this for a long time and travels all over the country. So I think, you know, him saying it to me, there's a lot of value in that, because Kirk didn't have to say that. You know, and you know, that's where I think, you know, I talk about studying best practice. You know, there's nobody that has got a better perspective on college football than Kirk Herbstreit, because he travels all over the country, you know, seeing it. So the fact that he comes out and makes a strong statement like that about our players and our program is one of the best compliments I think we could get.
Donnie Collins, Grand Times Tribune.
Hi James, how you doing?
Good, Donnie. How are you?
Wonderful. A lot of fans, and I guess a lot of us too, look to the Michigan game last season as kind of a line of the sand moment for Penn State. Did you look at it that way in retrospect? And if so, what's the biggest difference you see in the program now to that day back in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, you know, it's funny, I've done a bunch of interviews and everybody kind of wants me to say that that was like the aha moment. And don't get me wrong, I mean, you know, obviously, you know, I do think that was a factor. But like I say, like with a lot of things, you know, there's 25 slices in this pie, and the Michigan loss last year was a factor, and development was a factor, and, you know, players taking responsibility and accountability was a factor. The coaches building relationships and chemistry with the players was a factor. You know, I could list out a number of things, and every single one of them is important. And I think that's one of the things at this level when you're trying to be successful, and what I would make the argument one of the most competitive sports, you know, on the planet, is everything matters. Every detail matters. So yeah, it was that loss, you know, is that a factor in you know, what happened after that loss and how we move forward and how we approach it? Yeah, but I would say every win before, you know, our current win streak was a factor. Every loss, you know, was a factor. We learn, we grow. You need to be constantly learning and growing, and some moments are bigger than others. Yes, I will agree with that, but you need to constantly be learning and growing. And to be honest with you, I've had that question a lot too about, you know, rankings and things like that. I don't feel any different this week than I did a month ago or a year ago. We still got a lot of areas that we need to work on, we need to get better at. You know, I wake up, you know, still going into work in the morning excited about the opportunity, the people that I work with, and realizing that we got a lot of things that we got to get better at. You know, so, you know, I don't make it as simplistic as I think as a lot of people want it to be. I think there's so many factors.
Corey Geiger, Altoona Mirror.
Good afternoon, James. How are you?
Good, Corey. How are you?
Good. John O'Korn has a lot of ties and family in this area. Can you describe what you've seen from him on film? What are some of the strengths that he has that can give you some issues?
Yeah, somebody had told me at one point that his mom worked at the Broken Egg here in town. I don't know that, but somebody had mentioned that. I don't completely know their connection to this community, but they're somewhere around here. Really the main experience that I have is that, you know, when we were at Vanderbilt, we played Houston, you know, in a bowl game. You know, obviously he's a veteran quarterback. He's been around. You know, he's done a lot of different things. You know, obviously, you know, Coach Harbaugh does a great job of coaching those guys and played the position. He's a big, strong guy. He's athletic, and he's surrounded by a lot of talent. You know, so you know, I don't probably know his history and connections to this area as well as you. I've heard different rumors, like the one I mentioned in the beginning of this, but you know, we're just getting ready for Michigan, and we're getting ready for you know, what they do offensively, what they do defensively, and what they do special teams wise.
We'll open up to questions here in the room. Raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you.
Franklin?
How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good.
Good to hear. I want to ask you a question about your secondary. So Pro Football Focus compiles a list every week after Northwestern, who was lowest passer rating when targeted for Big Ten cornerbacks, and you had 3 players on this list. Grant topped the list. Christian and Amani both came in, and just when you look at the statistics from last year compared to this year, opposing passing, but completion percentage and interception rate, all these metrics just show how substantially better your secondary is this year. Why is that? How have these guys made such a collective leap? And what's this done overall for your defense?
Yeah, once again, I don't think it's just our secondary. I think it's our D-line. You know, I think it's the linebackers. I think it's you know, I think it's the fact that the guys that you mentioned have all played a lot of football here. Christian's a senior and has been playing since his freshman year. Grant is a senior, has been playing since his freshman year. And Amani, you know, his role just continues to grow, you know, every season. And you're talking about a redshirt junior. You know, so you're talking about the guys that have played a lot of football, got a lot of experience, got a lot of confidence. I think going against our wide receivers every single day at practice helps them as well. We got great competition at practice every single day. But yeah, I think those guys have had a dramatic impact. But I think again, you know, to play really good defense, you know, all 3 phases, D-line, linebackers, and secondary, all got to be, you know, coordinated and working together. So I think a lot of it is experience. They always had the raw material to work with in terms of intelligence and body type and quickness and strength and power and explosion and things like that. But they played a lot of reps, and with reps comes experience, and with experience comes confidence, and you know, that's kind of where we're at.
Hey James.
How you doing?
Good. You've talked a lot about your defense today, and I know you've said in the recent past that gang tackling is one of the things that's kind of stood out to you. I'm just curious how much of the success in that area comes from you guys coaching that up, and how much of it comes from these guys having chemistry, having played together, and being able to play fast in that regard because of that?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's no different than anything else. You emphasize it, and then players go out and do it, and they have success with it. Then, you know, it kind of grows from there. You know, I think when you can really show examples on tape of guys running to the ball, and even the guy that misses the first tackle, and the other guys are there to make the play, there's value in that. And for us to show other college players doing it, to show them NFL clips of just tremendous effort plays, you know, I think we're doing that at a very, very high level. I still think we can get better. I think we are routinely 8 or 9 guys that are running really hard to the ball, and then you see kind of a change of speed, which is what we look for, you know, in the other 2 or 3 guys where, you know, they're kind of jogging on the backside, and then all of a sudden the ball looks like it's going to get loose, and then they accelerate. You know, they need to be doing that from the beginning, because I also would make the argument that's the turnovers. You know, think about how many times last year the ball was on the ground as a fumble and we didn't come up with it. And this year we're coming up with those fumbles because we got more people around the ball. If you're around the ball, good things are going to happen. That could be interceptions with tip passes, that could be fumbles, and that could be tackling. That's finishing off a tackle and creating a fumble. That's finishing a tackle from someone that, the offensive player just broke their tackle or made a miss. There's just so much value in that. And, I would make the argument you can take an average defense and be a good defense just by doing that one thing. And I think what we've been able to do is take a good defense and take it to that next category, whatever you call it, by doing a great job of running the football.
Hey James, how you doing? Okay.
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you very much. I want to ask you about...
I like your shirt.
Thank you. I just got it, it's new.
You're very cheery right now, I'm happy.
You know, you inspired me with your comment a couple weeks ago about always saying you're doing great. And that's how, dictating the terms of your day. So anyway,
love it.
I listen.
I like how it's blue and white. Where'd you get that?
Plato's Closet, actually.
Yeah. Where's that?
All around a budget is what I'm.
Where's Plato's Closet? Everybody laugh. That's what it is.
It's a secondhand store.
Perfect.
High-end secondhand store.
So you got something that's really nice, and you didn't pay a lot for it.
That's what I'm about.
You're thrifty.
Yes. I would say so.
So it's not like I could go there and get another one because usually they just have one of each thing there, right?
I have a pretty consistent theme, so I think you can find something similar. Maybe not this particular shirt.
But I want that shirt.
We can talk afterwards we can arrange something. I can't give it to you right now, but maybe later.
Oh, I think now's a good time.
Even for me, this is going off the rails. You mentioned patience in the running game a little bit ago. What does patience look like to you in the running game? Because you've mentioned before, your offense won't just run into any front. You won't have dictated run plays. So what does patience in the running game look like to you?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, even though we're an RPO team, it's easy to just start calling more passes. You got to keep calling the RPOs. They give us an option to run the ball and be in the best look and be in the best situation. And Joe does a great job with that, and so does Matt Limegrover and Coach Huff as well. Sticking with those things. But again, we may call 12 RPOs in a row, and they all end up passes. And again, that's fine. And I think what Saquon has shown is he doesn't need many touches and many opportunities to make the big play. So you're probably never going to look at the stat page on Sunday and Saquon's carried it 38 times for 250 yards. That's just not how we're built. But we also, the area I would say that we've spent a lot of time talking about is eliminating the negative yardage plays. If we just eliminate those, the plays that we get tackled behind the line of scrimmage and things like that, whether that's a block getting beat or whether them doing a great job of disguising what they're doing or whatever it is, that will really help us. That will really help us. The sacks, the negative yardage plays, if we can just reduce them a little bit, I think that'll help us. It'll keep us on schedule, from a first down perspective. It will extend drives. It's funny. I think there's a stat out there because you guys know I'm constantly looking at the analytics and things like that. I think the stat is that if you get a sack during a drive, you only have a 10% chance of scoring. And that's for your defense and that's for your offense. And probably a very similar stat when you get a tackle for loss for 5 yards or more, things like that. So it's important for a lot of different reasons. It's important for putting Saquon in situations to be successful. It's important for us to stay on schedule, to be in better third down situations and convert, which for us typically. If we can get a drive going and get some explosive plays, which we do as good as anybody in the country, we got a chance to get points. So that's probably what we talked about a little bit this week and how can we improve in those areas and things that we can do to help the kids out. But once again, we got one of the best offenses in the country. We got a tremendous challenge this week against one of the best defenses in the country. And it should be fun. It should be a great environment. It should be a great game to watch. And there's going to be some pretty interesting chess matches going, between all the coordinators.
Hey James, good afternoon.
Yeah.
What was real quick kind of the best part of your bye weekend? Because we know you kind of hit the ground running in Texas.
I think it's probably that, allowing the players to just get some time off and either just to relax and be normal, college students or normal 19-year-olds, or, the opportunity to go home and see their families, or, that's probably the best thing. And then for the coaches, not the same, because the end of the week when they get their time off, the coaches, may be going harder, ripping and running and recruiting. I know, a couple coaches, Matt Limegrover, Ricky Ronnie, they didn't get back Saturday night until 1 o'clock in the morning. Driving back from wherever they were at whatever game. Things that just state college isn't always the easiest place to get back to. So I would say probably for the coaches, it's we staff met in the mornings a little bit later than normally meet at 7 a.m. and we moved it back to allow everybody to take their kids to school, get a little extra hour of sleep, maybe get a workout in, take your kids to school, drop them off, embarrass them like I usually try to do, screaming out the window, going and getting donuts. It's the little things. It's the simple pleasures in life and being able to spend some time with your family. So that's what I would say that the bye week does, is creates those opportunities to, because we always talk about the players being fresh, but it's also the coaches as well, because we all know it's a grind for everybody.
And you had a tweet, obviously there was a report out there this weekend, you kind of nipped it in the bud right away, but what's the frustration level like, or maybe it's flattery, I don't know, that like when your name comes up with something like that you have to continue to address these types of things?
Well, again, for me, it's about, like I mentioned earlier, it's about eliminating distractions. It's about keeping our team and our fans. To be honest with you, I wasn't going to respond at all, but our fans, they were wearing me out on Twitter, and I think our players were perfectly fine. I think our coaches were perfectly fine. I just wanted everybody to stop talking about it and let's start talking about Michigan. Michigan, 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 and not the whiteout, and not the rankings, and not last year's Big Ten championship, and not any of these other things. I want to keep our team focused and keep our routine the same. And as we all know, there's a lot of different reasons for these things being, coming up. And I think the biggest thing is distractions.
Time for two more.
James, were you upset by that it came out, that report went national pretty quickly?
Michigan, 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 Michigan. I think I kind of just answered the question.
Okay, I just wondered if it had upset you because you came out right away and dismissed it.
I don't think I did come out right away. I think it was at least 24, if not 48 hours before I responded. But I appreciate you checking on my emotional well-being.
Yeah.
I'm in a good place. I'm happy. My family's happy. I'm worried about the team and keeping our routine and our SOP consistent, and not allowing other things or other people to cause distractions for us. But I'm in a great place. I'm down about 10 pounds. I've been working out. I've been drinking. You guys were talking about me being, I think a couple weeks ago, Mike might have called me, what'd you call me, Mike?
James Franklin about town or something about
Yeah, but you called me like...
Stud. I called you Stud.
No, you didn't. It was something about me drinking like green smoothies and things like that. So I've been drinking these green smoothies. I feel good. I've been walking. I've been walking on Sundays and Mondays. I'm doing good.
Can you address your place kicking situation? Has that changed at all? Any of the personnel, or where do you see that right now going into this week?
I think we all saw we have one of the best place kickers in the country last year, and we got to get a few kinks worked out with our protection, with our holding, and with our snapping, and with our kicking. Again, it's a little bit of all those things, but I believe in Tyler Davis as much as I believe as any player on our team, and he'll be ready when the time comes, and we're there to support him every step of the way, and I think the locker room feels exactly the same way, and I know Tyler does. So just again, no different than the questions about the O-line. We're just going to keep working at it, keep loving those guys up, and keep getting them ready. And Tyler will finish this year on a real high note, he's going to win some games for us.
James, on your left, what's your most vivid memory of the Michigan game last year, and is that game something you'll discuss much with your team over the course of this week?
Yeah. Again, I know that's like the storyline this year. Everybody wants to talk about the Michigan game last year. I've gotten, between this press conference and the stuff that I do before I come in here, and phone calls and things like that. We're not. As you guys know, I'm like a live in the present guy. There's experiences that we gained from last year. There's confidence that we gained from last year. There's lessons that we learned from last year. But, no different than last year's success that we had, we were going to have to rebuild this team from the ground up. And we're doing that. We're in the process of doing that right now. But, I really don't think last season's game has a whole lot to do with this Saturday's game. I don't think past historical records have a lot of factor in this game Saturday. What we got to do is we got to prepare like crazy for a team and a program at a university we have tremendous respect for, and do the things that we need to do to make sure our team is ready to go out and play on Saturday, and stick with our routine, as you guys know that I believe in strongly.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.